Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Ray, and I'm excited to bring to you here four aspiring traders, soon to be affluent traders, and maybe some who already are. They've been a part of something pretty exciting, a trading course taught by a former Wall Street trader. He's worked at Goldman Sachs for 10 years. He's done consulting in private equity for 5 years, and he's been in asset management going on 9 years now. We're looking at 25 years of market experience. And my guests here have been getting mentored by this aforementioned individual. So without further ado, I'm going to have our guests introduce themselves by telling us a little bit about their trading background, perhaps lack thereof, and what has made them want to become a trader. So I guess I'll start. I'll kick the questioning off to Always. Always, how's it going, man?
Doing good, Ray. Doing good.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, just tell us a little bit what brought you to trading, um, and yeah.
Um, well, I started my interest in trading in 2021 end, probably 2022, and not a great place to start.
Hmm.
2022 with the bear market and all-time highs at that time. Went through a few so-called teachers, and eventually, connected with Dan, and it has been a great journey with him so far, and learning a ton of things. So, yeah, I mean, the same thing that all traders go through, trial and tribulations. You try things, some things work, some things don't. The main thing is to be in the game, and now we are learning to be in the game properly. That's all.
Excellent, excellent. What first piqued your interest in wanting to become a trader?
Well, I guess it's eventually I think everybody reaches a point where they want to explore. I've always been that way. It's just that I was exploring in other traditional businesses and whatnot. And then once things got settled in life, and then I decided, hey, why not? I have always been connected to it. My dad was an avid. Um, he was like, you have to focus on stocks. At that time, I didn't understand why, but today I totally get it why he was telling that.
For sure, absolutely. Thank you. Always appreciate it. Next up, we got Pizza Maker. Pizza, how's it going, man?
All right, all right.
All
How
right,
you
man.
feeling today?
I'm doing great. It's a pleasure talking with you guys. So Pizza, just tell us a little bit what brought you to the markets, and yeah, what made you want to become a trader?
Yeah, I got into the markets a number of years ago with no real success, honestly, and then I put it down for a while, um, and focused on my career at the time. And I just quit my job at the end of last year because my body can't handle traveling all year anymore. And at about the same time I did that, I came across this course with Dan, and the timing seemed pretty synchronous. And more than anything, I wanted to get into trading, A, to make money, but B, I think also to prove to myself that I could successfully do it, that there is a way to do it successfully, and that I would be able to find that, hopefully with some guidance.
Awesome, good stuff. So you said you got in the market years ago. How was I guess how was like your first experience coming to the market? Like bumpy initial success, or just give us a little background on that.
Yeah, I mean it was a boom and bust, right? And I also have a an addict personality, so it's easy to get wrapped up in that gambling addict mind state.
Hmm.
So, there were days or weeks where it would be great, and then there were days or weeks where it would be terrible. And it was just kind of, it was never really consistently successful, and there was no real methodology to it. I didn't really understand what I was doing. Maybe I thought I did at the time, but it was more just flash like Vegas lights, flashing lights and clicking buttons. And sometimes it worked out and sometimes it didn't.
Hmm. For sure. I think that's a good, no, I'm not gonna bring this on this tangent, but I think that's a great point you bring up. Like a lot of people do treat it in that fashion, like or you bring up like flashy lights like Vegas. Um, And yeah, if it could be, the dopamine rush, the type of emotions this can bring up in us, yeah, it could lead more towards gambling side of things. And yeah, that's why we come in with a nice structured plan, et cetera. But Pizza, thank you so much for that, man. All right, we'll kick it off to Brandon. Brandon, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
Doing excellent, man. So yeah, what brought you to the markets?
Yeah, so I guess going back to like '08 was really the first time I got in the markets. I mean, I never understood like finance or any of that stuff. When everything crashed in '08, I was like, all right, now's a good time to get in. So I bought some stuff. It worked out because everything was low. It was just dumb luck. It wasn't because I knew what I was doing. And then really didn't get back into the markets again until COVID crashed. I was basically kind of my plan, like, oh, I'll just wait till everything crashes and then I'll buy some stuff and wait. But then through like that COVID stuff, I found, I guess, fortunately or unfortunately, small caps, and was doing some of that. I was in some of those pump and dump rooms for a while. Not really a whole lot of success. Got in I guess we'll call it a quasi mentorship after that, like with options, where I turned like $1,500 into $200. So I didn't do that anymore. And then found futures and I think I saw how I got into the room was I saw some posts from JJ in the market profile, and it was just like hieroglyphics. Like I wanted to try to understand that more. And kind of that's how I got in the room. So really, like, the room was kind of the only professional trading room I'd found. Everything else, like I said, was just like the pump and dump, like, screwing around. Like it wasn't a professional environment, and not a good place to make money. And so I kind of found myself like leaning more towards like the commodity side of things. I don't know why I lean towards those as opposed to some of the equities. And I'd seen Dan posting in there, and I wanted to learn more about it and actually learn how to do this. To make some money on the side, and ultimately I'd like to quit my job and trade full time.
Awesome. Awesome. Good stuff. So back in so Wes, so you started back in '08, but it was kind of just more of like a buy and hold type of approach.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. I just sat on some of that for I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years, and just honestly, I forgot about it most of the time. And then just ended up selling some of that stuff off once life started to happen, and didn't touch anything until the COVID crash. And like I said, I was like, okay, we crashed again. All right, I'll start buying.
Yeah, yeah. And so after COVID, what you kind of decided to be like a little bit more active trading wise, or like what piqued your interest around there?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. Like I just became like I was surprised at how interested I became in it, and how much I enjoyed it. Like I said, I never like any of the finance business type stuff never really clicked for me. I was more I guess the sciences came easier to me. So yeah, there was just something about it that caught my interest. I could see that money could be made, and if you did it right, you could make it a decent amount. And in terms of like a second income stream, you can do a whole lot more, trading than you can delivering pizzas. So it seemed to be, pretty good choice.
Absolutely. Hey, shots fired, pizza maker. He, but Brandon, appreciate that, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for the background. PJ, how's it going, man?
Good, good. You saved the best for last.
Absolutely, we did. So PJ, yeah, what brought you to the markets, man?
I started trading about a year ago. I mean, I saw all the Forex guys on Instagram with Lamborghinis and penthouses in Miami, and I thought this should be easy. Uh, and I guess it wasn't so easy. And this is the first like real course that I've done, and yeah, I mean, I'm pretty green, but learning a lot.
Cool, cool, good stuff, man. So, you probably it seems like you probably have the you're the newest of everyone, at least, or at least like with your interest peaking in the markets. What brought you to the markets? What was the first thing that kind of interested you?
I mean, money, obviously, just
Yeah.
seemed interesting and something that I'd like to learn.
Cool, cool, absolutely. I mean, that's what brought me to the markets as well, man. So yeah, appreciate everyone giving us just like a little background knowledge um, on each other. And so I guess I'll throw this question out there. Any one of you guys can jump on it. And then if anyone wants to follow up or you know answer the question themselves, we'll go from there. Just curious what your guys' expectations were going into this course and how that's compared to reality.
Sure, I'll step up if nobody wants to step up first.
Yeah, go ahead.
For me, I had no real expectations. I came into this knowing that I don't know anything. And I hoped, ideally, I would learn a system that would allow me to trade successfully, consistently. But, there's all kinds of like courses and things out there that promise you all kinds of things. So a part of me really had no expectation, but I went into it with an open mind. And Dan's whole thing that he explained in the beginning was, it's the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid, right? And a lot of things in life like that work for me in my brain as an individual. So I went with it, and I've been very surprised and happy with how things are progressing so far.
That's awesome. There's a good saying I really like. It's simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, and I think and I don't know Pizza if you agree, but I think like a lot of times people come to trading maybe thinking it needs to be complex or it is complex, and I think a lot of the best minds or people who best are trading are really able to simplify things.
Yeah, if you can't explain it to a first grader, right, then it's too complex. It doesn't need to be too complex. You don't need to have a million friggin' lines on a chart, right? It's just kind of like how can we simplify this in a way that mitigates all the noise and only allows for, clear and concise signals and ways of thinking.
Excellent, excellent. Always. What about you, man? Did you have any what were your expectations coming into
Well,
the course?
my expectations were jaded, actually. As I said, I started in 2022. Just like Brandon, I went to small caps first, and you meet a lot of show-offs there. I
Hmm.
did. I paid a lot of money. So if I say that I'm negative because of that. So when I came to JJ's room, that was a first professional experience. And then once Dan started sharing, he did a few open training sessions for us, and I made sure I recorded all of them. I made sure I went through all of them, and eventually, when he said that we might be doing something, I was hands down. I was like, no, you know what? Enough of me trying to overthink things. I told him what my problems were in trading, how I'm overthinking and hesitating, and he's like, if that's the issue, those are all learned things. You can unlearn them. Let's get going. And I was like, I want in. So my expectation was that's the key thing I wanted to unlearn, and so far it has been exactly what we have been doing. As Pizza Maker said, keep it simple, and it cannot get simpler than how he's explaining. So
That's awesome. Great, good stuff. Yeah, I think your type of experience is not uncommon. You know, people coming into it, there's a lot of I don't know, glitz and glamour, people really boasting, and it's unfortunate because it really misleads a lot of people who are earnest um, and do want to learn. And then yeah, from there it's like almost like just unlearning all the bad habits. Brandon, how about you, man? What were your expectations coming in?
Yeah, I mean, I would say pizza basically hit it on the head. I really didn't have a lot of expectations. I mean, certainly hopeful. Um, but I didn't really know what to expect, how successful that I would be. I was excited to, learn from an actual professional. And, basically knowing that I didn't really have, a solid system, to lean on. I had, with futures, I had some success, with some of the evals and payouts and stuff like that, but nothing crazy. I certainly, there was plenty of room for improvement. So, like I said, more hopeful, but didn't know what to expect. I didn't want to, get my hopes up. And I think in the first session, Dan said that he had no doubt that if we follow the system and do what we're supposed to do, that we'll be trading with size in no time. And not that I didn't believe him, but it was almost hard for me to wrap my mind around and be like, can I actually be doing this given the struggles that I've had?
Hmm. Good stuff. PJ, expectations coming in?
I think Brandon kind of hit the nail on the head there. I didn't have, you know, any expectations really, but high hopes.
Hmm.
And going into it, I didn't really know what to think, other than I wanted to learn a system that could help me become profitable after struggling. And I think that expectations or hopes have been met so far.
Awesome. Awesome. I appreciate that, guys. So I'll throw this next question out there, and whoever wants to take it first, and then we'll go from there. What's something about trading that you guys thought you knew, but perhaps this course has maybe changed your perspective on?
Ah, everything.
He said, what was that, Pete? He said everything?
Everything.
Everything. Is there anything that comes first to mind?
Uh, no, I mean, for me, it was just I went in, right, knowing that I know nothing. So it's a whole new way of thinking for me.
I went in knowing that I know a lot of things, and then I had to chip away everything. But I think the biggest misconception is, the simple way that he has taught so far is that it doesn't have to be complicated,
Hmm.
or even to an extent there, it has to be a discretion. Okay, one trader can trade different. If you have a system in place, pretty much the basic is gonna be the same for, like, for me, pizza maker, Brandon, PJ. I can at least in our beginning first month, you could pinpoint where our entry would have been. So it's that systematic, and that's something really different than what I had the experience before.
For sure. I love that word systematic. I love the systematic approach. Can really help take away a lot of the objectivity, the emotions, things of that nature. PJ, what about you, man? Anything it's change your perspective on trading wise?
Yeah, I agree with Pizza Maker. Changed everything. It's like everything I thought I knew, it's completely different.
Brandon?
Yeah, same sentiment there. I thought I understood like bias, going into a day, on what I kind of wanted to do, but in hindsight, I had no idea.
Yeah. What specific with bias? What does it change your thoughts around that?
Whatever system I was using, I mean, it just didn't work. And it was wrong. And with what we're learning with Dan, you set your bias for the day, kind of based off, what's going on, but it's not an automatic, you're getting in, right? It's being smart about it. Knowing when to not trade, I think is probably the bigger lesson, when not to get into something just because, you may have a bias, it doesn't mean you need to get into it. You
Right,
don't
right,
always have to push the button, as he likes to say.
right. That's a huge point. Great point. Uh, I guess common theme that's really been coming up a lot is keeping uh things simple. I guess the question that I have for you guys is maybe what was something you guys thought was complicated that now is being made simple, or what's the simplistic approach that we're coming with? Because I don't want people to confuse like simple with like basic, right? We can be simple and advanced or simple and making money. So I'll throw that out there. What's helped simplify trading for you guys?
It's following the rules, right? He lays it out in a way that's extremely objective. There's no, it's all data driven, right? So it's not like you don't have 100 indicators on a chart, and you're not like, oh, well, when this line crosses the other line and that line does this and the bar touches this line 3 times, I'm going to go, right? It's just like, it's laid out in a way that's very easy to understand. It's, and it's set up in a way where, right, it's easy to understand and it's simple to a certain extent, but it's not simple on the back end, if that makes sense, right?
Yep.
The data is complex, but he teaches you how to interpret it and lay it out in an easy to digest manner, which allows you to react or respond to what's happening in front of you with confidence, which I think for a long time for myself, right, in the past, I was doing things I didn't really understand. I thought I knew why I was doing them, but I wasn't really confident in what I was doing, right? Now I can objectively look at data and say, hey, this makes sense. Hey, this doesn't make sense, right? There's a large part of it is objective data, and then there's a small part of it that is, your subjective or artistic touch to it.
Right, right. Excellent. I loved everything you just said there. And the one thing that stood out to me was the confidence. And um, not to jump too far down the line, but when you're starting off and you don't have confidence in a system, and like when you're trying to size up, it's going to prevent things, or you not recognizing opportunities. And obviously having confidence in a system, confidence in like, hey, this is a profitable thing over time. You can start sizing into opportunities or just sizing up in general. So great stuff. So always, how about for you, man? What's helped simplify? Yeah.
Yes, say, I mean, as you said, pizza maker, the confidence part. I mean, I had a ratio of 1:3 in terms of passing my evals. So every three eval I took, I did pass one of those accounts, but why I passed it, don't know. Um,
Hmm.
what strategy, what was the basic of me trading there? I don't know. So as I said, from discretion, from subjectivity, now it is all objectivity. That means data is supporting it. So what do I have to do? I have to follow it. And then as you do it enough number of times, now the back end is also getting easier. So that makes a double winner for us, that our data is backing our actions, and we know exactly, at least I now today, that's the biggest thing. I think the out of everything else today, the confidence comes from knowing exactly where I will get out, what my risk level is. And beyond that, there is no argument. Okay, so up, I don't know how far up can I go, but where can the worst that can happen in a day, I already know when I enter the trade. So if I'm okay with it, there is nothing to raise my heart up. There is nothing for me to get anxious about. So I trade much relaxed now. That is the simplicity of it, that, hey, you already accepted it. Let's go with it. Done.
I love that. I love everything you guys are saying. That's uh, all points well founded. Absolutely. Brandon, how about you, man? I'm sure you're gonna echo some of these similar sentiments.
Yeah, I mean they nailed it. I think the risk portion, is king, right? I mean, that's the key. Like, if, within the system, like exactly what your risk is. You know it before you even get in the trade, and whether you should be in it or not. And if you get stopped out, you were wrong, and that's it. You're you know, you're not guessing. Before, like on ES, I was, a lot of times I would just follow like whatever, you'd see on like Twitter or whatever. Like, oh yeah, risk is four handles. It's like, okay, well, why? It's like, you have four handles of risk, but it's just like in the middle of nowhere, basically, a lot of times. But with what we're doing, like it's in a defined spot. You know exactly what it is. Before you can even get in the trade, it's either okay or it's too wide. If it's too wide, you ignore it for the day and you don't even look at it.
Right. Excellent. Yes. Well, great point too, as well as touching on the risk. And all of this is just encompassing a systematic approach. The confidence part you guys have mentioned on to execute it, and with trust in it, because every trade, we know every day is not going to be a winning day. Every trade's not going to be a winning trade. It's the long run view of thing, the long run view approach, executing this day in and day out with the confidence that like over the long run, like this is going to be profitable. Love everything you guys are saying. How about you, PJ? What are your thoughts around this?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everybody else. It's objective, it's systematic, and it's just you're left up to the execution, you know? So
Yeah,
when the setup
absolutely.
happens, you just execute and go from there, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, speaking of execution, and we can kick this back to everyone else, if you want, because there's one thing to come in to know things in like theory or like, okay, this is what we're going to try and do for the day. How is your guys like in game execution? So I guess I'll also start with you, PJ, since you brought it up. How's your execution been?
Once you build up your confidence, execution has been going well. Um, you know where you're in, you know where you're out, and it's simple.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And this could be a quick point. We don't have to labor too much on this. But how about you, Brandon?
Yeah, I mean, same thing. Like you said, you know where you're getting in, you know when to get in, and you just do it. It's just robot. You just go through it, and that's it. You don't have to think about it.
Good stuff. Pizza.
Yeah, I think one of the big things for me that came up also is you learn how to lose, right? You're not going to be right all the time. It's okay to lose, and you're gonna lose. But if you can lose the right way in the long term, you're going to be successful, right? You gotta not only understand statistically, right, that in the long term you're going to win, but there's also like a psychology or psychological aspect of it that you need to be aware of, and this kind of helps put that out of the way to a certain extent. Don't get me wrong, there's still going to be times where you're going to get mad or upset that you missed a trade, or it didn't go your way, and that's okay, right? You just need to try and be aware of that. But it's
Yeah.
all, if you just follow the rules and you follow the protocol, right? It's statistically, for me, and I think for everyone so far in the room, it's going to work out for you, right? Dan tells you just be the pizza maker, right? Dough sauce cheese. You get a protocol and you follow that protocol to the T, and that's it. And that's all you do.
I love that. No, excellent points. Excellent points. Always.
Same, execution is up to you, but the path is laid out. It's like, the data and the the strategy is like I-75. I'm in Michigan. So I-75, if you follow straight, you go to Florida. You follow the directions, you don't go into unwanted exits, you will reach Florida. The same thing is here. You execute as it is laid out. Stats tells it, data tells it, you will be profitable. Are you going to be profitable every single time? No, but over a period of time, you will come ahead. And that's all.
Absolutely. And so always we'll stick with EU here to start off the next question. maybe you could just talk to us about a strategy that you're using or a trade that you learned from and applied from the course.
Um, yeah, so well, for me, understanding where the meat of the market has been in the past week, past 3 days, past day, right? Understanding where is the pain point. So pivots, that has been a big deal. Um, More so, I knew about pivot points and whatnot, but to understand what it means to take a trade with them
Hmm.
being in your favor, that has been my key new revelation kind of thing in my mind. And that's what I have been trying and working on to, get more and more better at.
Awesome. How about you, Pizza?
I'm sorry, say again.
Yeah, yeah. Just maybe just just talk to us maybe like some strategies that you learned from the course or the way you want to attack the market or a trade, specific trade, anything like.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like I like that it's basically uh I like trading a box, right? I could like visually, I'm a visual person. It's easy for me to do that. Like it works for me. I like what always said, working with the pivots and understanding that, right? I looked at what was something in the past, like market profile and the Steedlemeyer stuff. And I looked at that and I had no idea what was going on. I just felt so lost. But the way Dan explains how these pivots are effectively uh, more or less to a certain degree of accuracy, giving you the same information in a way that for me is easier to digest. Um, that works for me, right? Not everybody's mind works the same, but that works for me. And there's a lot of things that like there's a lot of trades out there, and we're learning more of them all the time as time goes by
Hmm.
because we didn't want to Dan didn't want to inundate us with things, right? If you give somebody 100 pages worth of data, 100 different trades out of the gate, you're gonna have no idea what to do, right? You need to slowly like hammer in things one at a time so that it becomes repetition. And through repetition, right? You don't even have to think about it in the future. When you see it, you can just react to it. So we're at a point where we're kind of building our playbook, so to speak. I think we're at about between like 10 to 12 different plays on each side, long side and short side right now.
Hmm.
Um, some of them are a little easier to wrap your head around. Some of them are a little more difficult to catch. So it's a matter of just kind of, finding what works for you. And I like that there's flexibility in that, right? It's not kind of like this is what you have to do every single time and that's it. It's kind of like here's a playbook, you know, this might work for you. What works for me might not work for, you or somebody else. So figure out what feels comfortable to you and roll with that.
Right, right, exactly. That's a great point. There's like fundamental principles to trading, and then there's that I think you even mentioned it before, maybe like the art to it, or just like a personalization to it, that you're gonna have to lean into your certain strengths. Um, so it's good stuff. Brandon, how about you, man? Anything from certainly the playbook, the stuff you guys been learning that's stuck out to you?
Yeah, I think the for me the pivots are a game changer. I didn't know anything about pivots, before this, and then learning how to use those and lean on them to minimize risk is a really cool concept. And minimize risk and or step on the gas if the risk is small enough. Then you can add size with confidence when the system dictates it, and you can really put on some more contracts and feel good about it. And if you're wrong, you're wrong, but the risk is minuscule sometimes. So I really like working with those.
Awesome. Good stuff. How about you, PJ? What stood out from you from the playbook?
A big thing for me was letting your winners run, catching those big moves.
Hmm.
That's that's probably the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, those are game changers. Those type of trades are so important to your bottom line in in the long run. At least from my experience, I don't know with a lot of others. Most of the times trades are going to be like small wins, small losses, and it's like those ones that really run on you that increase your win rate and your expected value over the long run tremendously. So that's a great point there, PJ. Guys, I really appreciate your time. One more question. I'll let you guys get on your way. I thought it's been a great discussion. You could tell, I know Dan, I been somewhat aware of what he's teaching, but I think it's clear to me that it's going well. I love the things you guys are saying, and I mean that earnestly. And so last thing I'll say here, question I'll throw to you guys is, what advice would you guys give to someone who's just started trading, is looking to learn trading? And I'll start up at the top with you always.
So who's learning to trade?
Yeah, someone who's just starting to learn trading, someone who just wants to, just come into trading.
Well, we are going to make our mistakes about where we are getting the information from. But I think you have to keep an open mind about learning initially from, because today, in today's day and age, you get enough information available that is free, first of all. So you learn as much as you can take in, because that will help you determine good from the bad. That will help you determine the gurus from the gurus. And that's what my previous experiences were not so good, but that's why I can see the difference in this approach. So don't be afraid to, like Dan says, don't be afraid to get lost. But at the same time, you need to have somebody who's willing to guide you. One way or the other, you're going to pay the fee. Market is going to take that charge from you, or you're going to invest in yourself and learning the proper way. I personally, I did both the ways, but that's what has led me to here. So if you're learning, learn as much as you can in the beginning so that you can determine where you want to really focus on. That's what I can say.
Absolutely. How about you, Pizza? Any advice for beginning traders?
Commit to learning in a certain path and trade sim for a while to hammer out your process, right? It's easy to go online and learn, 20 different things that take you in 20 different directions, and thinking that you understand enough about it to trade it and then go and trade it sim, and you get lucky and it's like, oh look, I made $1 million in 2 days, I'm gonna go trade like this on my live account, and then there's no real sustainability there. Take the time and do your due diligence to commit to figuring out how a uh, a protocol or how a way of trading objectively and statistically works over time. And if you have that data to back up that belief, then commit to that and see it through.
Brandon, how about you? Any advice to beginners?
I would say, as you're learning a system, or whatever it is that you're using to get into the market, if you can't write down why you're getting into the trade, where you're getting out, and why, you shouldn't be in the trade. If you're just slapping it because you think, it's going to go and you want to make a bunch of money, you're probably going to get eaten alive. You might get lucky once or twice, but sooner or later, it's going to go bad for you. So if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, you shouldn't be doing it. And I think that taking that approach would, I think that'll force people. And I wish I would have done this, 4 years ago. To really understand the system and not just, like, well, I'm going to trade today because the market's open. I think you really need to know what you're doing and why, when you're wrong, managing your risk. And also, like I always said, beware the furu online with the flashy watches and cars and whatever else they're posting. Block that noise out.
Absolutely. Absolutely great advice, Brandon. All right, PJ, how about for you? Any advice for beginners?
Yeah, I would say find a good community, find a real good mentor. Don't be afraid to ask for help and be disciplined. Um, try to be disciplined in your life, and that'll translate to trading as well.
Absolutely. Discipline is a full encompassing thing. Absolutely. Guys, it's been a great discussion. It's been excellent to hear about everyone's journey so far and the progress, what you guys have been learning. I think it's evident to me that you guys are in the right direction. Um, just appreciate everyone tuning in, and we'll see everyone next time. Take care.
Thanks a lot, Ray.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks, guys.